Hello everyone, welcome.
Hi,
I'm Katie.
I'm Kat, and we have been friends for quite a long time.
10 years? More, I think it's more than 10 years.
Yeah,
Can you remember how we first met?
I can. We were at a sort of zine small press fair in London, and I had gone for lunch, and the person that was at the table with me told me that someone really nice had stopped by the table who liked my work. And so when I came back from lunch, I went to find that person. It was
There's
Katie.
more to this story
Is there?
because the reason I'd gone to your table is I was with my friend Mary, hi Mary if you're watching, who I'd also met for the first time that day. And Mary said, you should go and see that person's work over there. It's beautiful, you would love it. And Mary was right. So Mary is the reason that we know each other. But we met at a comics fair where we were both selling our artwork.
And then when I got to your table, it was full of sheep-related stuff. So I was equally a fan, and it went from there.
Yeah, we've been friends ever since. And we've been on a few different holidays and walking adventures together, but never taken on anything quite as big as we are about to do. Why are we doing it?
Well, we love walking. We've walked in Yorkshire together and Devon
And Scotland.
and Scotland. We absolutely love it. And probably out of the people we know, we're the ones most up for a very long walk
In any weather.
in any weather. So we thought we would try and tackle something a bit ambitious.
And I've just had a significant birthday, which was the occasion to decide, okay, actually, we're going to give this a go. And we've spent a year planning our adventure. These are all my collection of books that I've been obsessing over. We picked the Beacons Way, which is a path that goes from east to west through the Bannau Brycheiniog National Park, which is where I live. I moved here a year ago, which is kind of why we chose that route. We weighed up a few different ones. We were looking at Scottish ones and other ones all around the country, but we settled on that one.
Yeah, the logistics for planning a sort of, week long or longer hike are quite extreme. So we thought one that was kind of near where Katie was already based.
Yeah, because it's the first time we've done it. We didn't know whether, how we would find it physically. It's nice to know that if we've had a really tough day, we can go home at the end of it or not be too far from home.
Yeah.
So hopefully we won't find it too difficult. But anyway, we're not actually going to do the Beacons Way.
After all that. There was some absolutely terrible weather on the forecast, and Katie had the brilliant inspiration to devise an alternate route that was kind of equivalent in distance, but without taking on some of the highest peaks of the national park.
The thing with the Beacons Way is it tries to make a point of doing as many of the mountains as possible, which would be incredible if the weather was clear and beautiful, but there's been a mixed forecast for this week. Some of the days are set to be gorgeous, but significantly I think there's going to be a big storm coming through, and it's forecast on the day when we would take on Pen y Fan, which is the biggest mountain in the south of the UK. Not only would it be unpleasant to march up a mountain in that weather, it would actually be dangerous. I think there are gale force winds forecast and low visibility, and it would be horrible and it would be really stupid. So
yeah, and
we're not going to do it.
The main point of going up mountains is to look at the views. If you're in cloud, there is no point really. So we've got this fantastic alternative route
which nobody's ever tried before, that I've just plotted by staring at my OS map. I've tried to keep it as much as possible to woods and valleys, so we've got a bit of shelter, but it also means we get to explore lots of ancient woodlands. There's there's not a lot of woodlands left in Wales, unfortunately, but there are around the southern edges of the national park lots of fragments of ancient temperate rainforest, which we're looking forward to exploring.
Both big fans of moss and lichen,
and mushrooms. It's late September. We're going to be walking from the last week of September into the first week of October, so just the beginning of trees starting to turn and mushrooms starting to appear. I've just realised we haven't introduced this member of the team who's sitting on the sofa next to me. This is Jack. He's my dog. He is 13 years old, so as much as he's an enthusiastic walker, he won't be joining us for the whole route, but you might see him in some of the videos. I'm hopeful he's going to be able to do a little bit with us. So as well as the walk being a big experiment, we're also going to have a go at making videos together. Both of us have our own YouTube channels where we make videos, but I think we're both quite used to being the only person involved, so it's going to be interesting to do it as a collaborative project.
Yeah.
I think the plan is to do alternate days, so people will find one video on your channel and then one video on my channel.
Yeah, so rather we'll do all the filming together, we'll collaborate on that, which I think is going to be really fun.
I think it's going to be really fun.
And then we'll each take alternate episodes to sort of edit after, you know, when we have time, and post on our channels so that people can hopefully follow the whole thing.
Yeah, it'll be nice for people to be able to join us on this adventure, especially folks who might not be able to make it to the UK or not be able to access some of the weird and wonderful trails that we're going on. So I'm really looking forward to being able to share it with you and with you.
Yes, thank you.
I think you can probably tell how excited we are.
I was just going to say, we're extremely excited. We've spent the whole year kind of upgrading some of our, you know, things that are used for hiking, hiking poles, waterproof gear, all sorts of things like that. I have been obsessively enjoying YouTube videos of other people hiking all year, which has been an inspiration both in terms of the hiking itself and the making of videos. So
it's kind of encouraging to look at other people who've done similar things that we've done, that we're planning to do. I mean, we haven't done it.
Yeah.
We're planning to do it.
We should also talk about the fact that we weren't even sure if we were going to be able to do this.
Oh gosh, I mean, planning a big hike like this not only depends on weather to accommodate you, but life circumstances. You know, things come up and we've had a few uncertainties. There was a moment where we thought we would have to do a walk in a different part of the country or no walk at all. So I feel very lucky that we've got the opportunity to do this.
Yes, I'm so happy. I was fully prepared that it might not happen this year, or that it would be a completely different thing. So the fact that we're kind of ready to go is really exciting.
Got my bag right here. We're ready to set off. So thanks for watching, and thanks for joining us.
So, hiking the Beacons Way. Over the course of this year, I've been slowly gathering bits and pieces of equipment that I think I'll need for this trip. I had a few bits already, but I've bought quite a lot, including the actual backpack that I'll be using, which is fairly small. It's only 18 litres, but I definitely wanted to limit the amount that I would be likely to bring with me, just to make sure I don't overpack. And today I've been having a go at packing the bag and seeing how things are looking. Doing some practice hikes over the course of the year, I've also realised how important it is how you pack your bag, and that things that are the most important need to be accessible at the top and that sort of thing. So that's what I've been practicing today. I've got some little pouches. This one can actually go on my belt. And this one I may swap out for a bum bag a little bit nearer the time, or a fanny pack, depending on what part of the world you come from. But this is just for the stuff that I really need easy access to, where I don't want to take the bag off my back. Like my little blister kit goes in there. A plastic bag, very useful for rubbish when you sort of stop to eat, things like that. Hand sanitizer, snacks. Snacks need to be easily accessible, otherwise you can kind of forget to eat as much as you should, which is quite important. Sunglasses and sun cream will go in there. I don't know how much sun we're likely to have, but we will see. It's important to have it just in case. I've got a band that I can kind of wear either for sun or to cover my ears if it's windy, so that needs to be easily accessible as well. I've got a small little blanket that packs really small, but that's something that I can kind of sit on if I need to sit down and there's nowhere dry. So there's that. I've got loads of nice walking socks, which are probably the most important thing here, to be honest. Got these trousers that have side pockets, and I found that I can actually carry my gimbal, which is for filming, in the side pocket, and that means that it's easy to kind of get to very quickly. Don't know how often I will need a towel. There is a chance we might be able to swim or at least paddle, so I'll have that with me, but it doesn't need to be, you know, at the top of the pile. Thermal layers as well, probably emergency waterproof trousers. These are water resistant but not waterproof, so I have these. I have waterproof gloves, which will probably be near the top. Spare pair of socks in case of getting wet. I will be taking an alternative pair of shoes on the off chance that my boots get absolutely soaked and aren't drying, or if I'm having pain from the boots, I do have an alternative pair of good hiking sandals. I don't know how they would be in the mountains, but I just wanted to have an alternative backup shoe. Here's my little blister kit that I've made for foot care. Blisters are the thing that I've suffered from in the past that have been the most problematic on long multi-day walks. So I thought this would be a great idea to have something that's small. It can be in a pocket, or it can be, you know, something I take on any walk. It's got all this stuff in it basically, except made small so that I can carry it easily. I've wound some of the zinc oxide tape onto a stick so that I can have that. Little pair of scissors, plasters, band-aids, allergy pills and painkillers in there just in case I need them. So there we go, hopefully this will work okay.
Excellent, that's
They
important.
are attached to
Yay!
my backpack that goes at the bottom of the frame, that's got a bit of a profile of some of the mountains, and this is our two faces.
Yes, nice. Like every morning we aim to record just talking a little bit about what we're aiming to do that day or something, and then we do a little bit at the end to say how.
I think so. So at least we've got some kind of structure. Do you have a hat or headband for ear protection?
Yeah, so I was going to bring, can I do a little show and tell of what I've bought this morning?
Yes, please. Hi, it's getting really close now to my big hiking adventure with Kat, and I thought I would just record a little chat about what I'm going to be wearing and what I'm going to be carrying gear-wise in my rucksack. So I am wearing most of the outfit that I'm planning to wear to walk in. The first thing I've got is a lightweight wool cardigan. I would have loved it if this had been a cardigan I had made myself, but it's not. It's just one that I bought. I would like to replace it with a handmade one at some point, but for now it does the job. It's light and thin, so it gives me a layer of warmth, but it doesn't weigh too much. So when I take it off, I can scrunch it up pretty small and it will fit comfortably in my rucksack, which is good. Something I learned from doing a long hike before is that the layers are going to come on and go off many times every day. So having layers that don't take up too much space is really important. The next thing that I'm wearing is a dress, which I did make, and I've spent a couple of months refining my ideas for this hiking dress. pretty pleased with what I've ended up with. It's a shirt dress made from 100% linen, and I chose linen because it's really soft. I find it really comfortable either when I'm a little bit too hot or a little bit too cold. The other thing I love about linen is when it gets wet, it doesn't cling to your skin like cotton does, and I'm fully expecting that I am going to get wet in this dress at some point, so yeah, I won't be too uncomfortable. Other features I added to this dress are, if I stand up, humongous pockets for fitting my phone in, and microphones and various other bits and pieces I might want to carry around, and this little tiny front pocket which contains my jeweler's loop, which is a mini magnifier that I like to use for looking at lichens and mosses. But also this little pocket is handy. We're going to be using tiny clip-on microphones when we're recording our vlogs, so I put that here as a good place for my microphone to latch onto. I went for short sleeves so that this dress becomes my t-shirt option, if you like. So at the moment I'm wearing a long sleeved top underneath, and if I get too hot I'll be able to take the long sleeves off and just wear the dress to give me another layer for cooling down. And if I stand on the chair, you'll be able to see on my legs I've got a pair of leggings. Again, those are a layer that can come off if I get too hot, but they'll keep me warm in the meantime. So that's everything that I'm going to be wearing. Now let me grab my rucksack, and I thought I'd talk you through what I've packed in here. So on the front you can see my hiking poles. These are, if I can carefully remove them, they're telescopic, so they pack up quite small but they extend to the length that you need them to be. They're a recent purchase. I've only had them this year, bought them specially for this hike, but I think I'm going to really enjoy them, and these illustrations on them are my own. I decided that they needed to be customised, so I'm pretty excited about using those. They're a little bit tricky to get on and off your rucksack. That's the nice thing about Kat and I are going to be hiking together. We can help each other get our poles on and off our rucksacks. What's next? In the back of my rucksack here you can see this blue hose. If I pull it out, I've got a water bladder. This is something that I have purchased since my last big hike. It's a 3 litre water bottle, and I will be filling it full with 3 litres every day. The reason I've gone for this rather than a standard water bottle is, well, two things. One thing is that once it's empty it just becomes nothing. It's really thin, so I don't need to worry about space in my rucksack for an empty bottle. The other thing is that it stays on your back, and this pipe comes over your shoulder and you can pick it up and have a sip anytime you want without having to take your bag off, sit down or anything to try and rummage and find your bottle. You've just got the pipe really accessible, and I've been using this on some long day hikes recently. I really love it, so I'm very glad to have this in my kit. What's next in my rucksack? Some fairly expected items, I think. I have a lightweight waterproof jacket and lightweight waterproof trousers, which I've added these braces to just because I don't like the elasticated waist. Both of these pack up to really small. Then they don't offer a lot of warmth, but what they do offer is a bit of wind protection. So in combination with all my other layers, my long sleeve top, my dress, my wool cardigan, and then my coat on top, that's generally as warm as I ever want to be hiking. If it was really the middle of winter I might want a bigger jumper, but that's enough warmth, I think. And the other bonus of the lightweight waterproofs is they double up as a layer to sit down on if you're sitting and having a break, or your lunch on some wet grass or moss. they keep your bum dry, which is really useful. Next up we have a woolly hat. Again, not expecting to experience much cold on this walk, but if we're going up high and it's windy, I'm likely to need a bit of extra warmth, and the hat does a lot for your whole body for keeping warm. So this is the one, I was going to say it's the one, it's not. It's one of 2 extra woolly layers I've included. I've also included a pair of wrist warmers, just because I really struggle with cold hands. If anything about me is going to get cold, my hands get cold first. So a couple of extra woolly layers just in case things get unpleasantly cold. Next up, I've got actually a couple of baseball caps. Baseball caps are a hiking essential for me as a glasses wearer because they keep the rain off my glasses. When it starts to rain, I really need the peak of the cap to keep my glasses dry. So I've got one which is like a warm weather option, and this second one, which is a recent purchase, which has ear flaps in case it's rainy and windy at the same time. I probably won't carry both of these every day. I'll probably look at the weather forecast and make a decision based on that, whether it's a warm baseball cap day or a cool baseball cap day, but I will always have a cap with me because when my glasses get covered in specks of rain, it's really annoying. So that's an essential bit of hiking kit for me. Next, I've got a paper map. We will mostly be navigating by the Ordnance Survey Maps app, which is really useful because it shows by GPS exactly where you are, but you can always end up in a situation where your phone runs out of battery or is lost or whatever, and paper map reading is essential, and so I will have a paper map with us just in case. And then next in the main compartment of my bag is a dry bag. Most people use dry bags to protect essential things that they don't want to get wet. I'm using my dry bag for something that might get wet that I don't want to make other things in my bag wet. So what I've got in here is my swimming kit. I'm a very, very keen cold water swimmer, so I'm really hoping that this walk is going to yield some opportunities. So I've got a microfiber towel that packs up really small, but it's a surprisingly good size. It's that one. I've also got obviously a swimsuit, and my cold water swimming essentials, which is a pair of neoprene gloves and socks, which are essential for comfort in terms of temperature, but also the socks and gloves are really helpful if you're scrambling over stones to get in or out of the water. Just a bit of extra protection if the surface is unkind, which it often is. So that's another hiking essential for me. I'm always hoping for the opportunity for a swim, so I'll be carrying that around with me every day just in case. Now onto the smaller things. There are a couple of obvious omissions from this, which I'm not taking because Katrina is. We've agreed to share some of the load. So Kat is bringing sunscreen and insect repellent. So I haven't got either of those, but I would take them if I was hiking on my own. But what I have is a compass, again, to go with my paper map, just in case we get into a situation where our phones are no longer helpful to us. Then I've got some first aid supplies. So I've got a selection of plasters, particularly a vast selection of blister plasters, and some zinc oxide tape, which is useful for all kinds of different first aid purposes. I've also got a spare pair of shoelaces in case one of my bootlaces snaps. It's always good to have a spare pair because you can't walk very far if you can't tie your bootlaces up. And what else is in here? A spare one of these plastic bags. These are touchscreen friendly plastic bags, so if it gets really wet I can pop my phone in here and still use it through the bag, which is really, really helpful. a spare battery pack for my phone. As I'm showing you this, I've realised I would also need the lead to plug the battery pack into my phone, so I'll need to add that to my bag. And then finally in this compartment I've got a Leatherman multi-tool, so a pair of scissors, a little knife, a screwdriver, tweezers, again useful for first aid, useful for cutting this tape, useful for all kinds of things, so it's just handy to have one of those in the bag. And then 2 more little compartments. These are the compartments that come round the side of my hips, so things that I can access without having to take my bag off. Have a mini pot of Vaseline, which is useful for chapped lips and all kinds of other comfort purposes. If you've got a little bit of dry skin or chafing somewhere, Vaseline is really helpful. And then in this one, what have I got in here? I mean, usually some snacks end up in these compartments as well, I should be honest. I've got a wrapper from my snack on my last hike that I went on. I've also got some rubber tips for my hiking poles. The hiking poles have, if I can grab them, quite sharp metal ends, which are great if you're on muddy or boggy ground, but if you're walking on road or a hard surface, they make a really loud noise that's quite jarring. So I just like to pop the rubber tips on, and they will dampen the sound a bit, make them a bit nicer to use on the road. So they live in this side compartment for easy access. And that is just about everything that I've got in my rucksack. Obviously I will have food in there as well. That's the other essential that's missing. There will always be a packed lunch and lots of snacks to last us for more than the time that we're hiking, just in case we get into any unexpected trouble. But other than that, I'm packed. Well, I'm not packed, I've just unpacked it all onto the floor. I'll pack it all back in and then I will be ready to go.
Just heading into Paddington Station now for my train to Wales. Absolutely beautiful day here in London. The weather forecast for Wales not quite so good for the coming week, but we will see.